So recently in my hometown, there's an incident where a child was left at a park for 2 hours. The mother and the grandmother went to the childcare center to pick the child up, and nobody knew who picked him up. The mother called all her family to see who could have picked him up, and nobody had him. So all of a sudden, the child care workers jumped up, went back to the park, and that's where the child was left. There's actually a lady there who saw the child and took him to the park ranger, and they took care of him, changed him, fed him, for those 2 hours. This situation really hit home for me because, as everyone knows, I work at a child care center, and this is like the most scariest thing a teacher, a mother, anybody could go through right now. And it just seems like the teachers did not take proper safety procedures in protecting this child and themselves, really. So I just wanted to give a few tips on what you should do, especially if you're a new teacher or if you are getting ready to open a new daycare. This is something you really, really need to think about because you are responsible for small lives every day, lots of lives every day. You have to be on top of it, especially if you are a new teacher or a new business owner. You have to make sure that you set up proper procedures in keeping all the children safe and protecting yourself as well. I know in Ohio, you have to have a permission slip in order to take a child anywhere. So that's one thing that you must make sure you have. Second thing is, and I know in Ohio, I don't know about anybody else, but in Ohio, when you're getting ready to take children off the daycare premises, you must have a checklist. Put down each child, what time you leave, what time you're coming back, where's the destination, all of that. In our child care center, soon as the kids come in, we are putting their name on the checklist, and we constantly count. I don't care if you're in the middle of an activity. If you feel you need to count your children, you need to do that because you have to make sure you have everybody at all times. Another thing, we don't do this because we pretty much are on top of it, but another good idea when you getting ready to go on a field trip, you should probably leave a copy of the checklist so that way the administrator, whoever's left behind, knows who all left. Whenever the children go on field trips, I usually check the sign in and out sheet to see who all went. Because before you leave, anytime a child leaves the daycare premises, they must be signed in or out. So I always make sure they were signed out, and I see who all went, how many went. Secondly, they said the child didn't have any identification. If you're going to be a teacher or own a daycare, you need to have that set in place where if you're going off the premises, you need to have some kind of identification, whether it be a daycare shirt with the information or a name tag with the information. It doesn't have to have the child's name or anything because that gets kind of complicated, but you can at least have the daycare's name and number and information. And this child did not have that. So that's something they could have really avoided this, and it could have been caught sooner had they had this set in place. As I said before, count your children before they leave the premises. I'm counting, the teacher's counting, the bus driver's counting, everybody is counting until we get the right number. I count when they're leaving out the building. You count on when we get on the bus, count on when they get off the bus, and you can do roll call. Call each other's name. I'm telling you, they mustn't do any of this for this child to get left behind for 2 hours. Anytime we're getting ready to get off the bus or get off, I'm doing roll call. Sam, Tim. If I don't hear yes, hi, or something, I'm pausing. We're going to find where Sam and Tim is before we go anywhere. So that's something you must do that as a teacher. You are responsible for these children. If anything goes wrong, it lands on you. Nobody else, you. So you have to make sure you keep that in mind. Have another teacher recount. Like I said, I count, bus driver count, teacher count, count. Make sure you have everyone. And another thing that we do is if I'm not going on a field trip with them, then the teachers usually send me a count of how many they had. So if it don't matter up to what we had before you left, then something is wrong. So they usually send me a count of how many children they have in their presence. I know a lot of people be like, you can't have yourself on. To me, it's safety. At least, hey, I got 21 kids. Okay, cool. Just quick. It ain't like you chilling on your phone or anything, but just a quick little text. I don't think that's gonna hurt nobody. Um, Another thing, the signing out sheet. Now, this is what really bothers me because when they came back to the center, they all the children should have been signed back in. So this is why another reason why I don't think they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, because of the fact when they came back in, the children should have been signed back in automatically. So somebody should have noticed, hey, little so and so is not here. What happened to him? Or even before they even got back on the bus, check your checklist, do a roll call, because they would have known he was missing. So I'm just saying proper procedure was not getting, even from state. I'm saying extra stuff like to protect yourself, but I don't see them following licensing rules. That's basically what I'm saying. They weren't following licensing rules properly, which is now is going to get them in a lot of trouble. This video is basically, I get both sides. I get the parents, they trust them in ensuring that their child is safe, and I get teachers. I get things. I've been a teacher. I get that things get hectic. You have 50 different things going on at once. I get it, but you gotta stay on top of that stuff. This is tragedy. This is tragic. This should have never happened. And I know this is not the first or the last daycare to do this, but now your name is tainted now because you weren't following the proper procedures. Now I've heard they called the news, of course the police is called, and now state's got to get involved. You have all this coming at you, and you may even lose more children. This is why it's so important to have a system and a structure that works, if everybody can follow, and that you follow that structure, because now this whole is blown up. And now, yes, the little boy's safe, thank God, but now it's ruined. Your daycare is ruined because of this one situation, this carelessness that happened. That is my little spiel on it. If you're a new teacher, like I said, or a new daycare owner, make sure you have a system. Make sure all teachers, make sure you as a teacher yourself have a safety procedure that you follow every time. Because if you don't, something like this could happen. This could have ended so much worse. But like I said, thank God it did. I'm glad he is home safe. Have a safe school year. Make sure you watch out for these babies.